Hi everyone and welcome to the third session of In Conversation with Hannah. I briefly touched on this in the announcement video with Brooke, but around the same time I started doing these sessions, I also started working for an amazing startup called Flair. So we're approaching our launch, which is very exciting, and so I thought it'd be a great idea to bring the Flair team on In Conversation with Hannah and pick their brains a bit. So to give you a brief insight, Flair is an e-commerce platform that's particularly targeted to emerging designers. And there's a lot that kind of goes on in the back end. So it's more of an ecosystem than it is just an e-commerce site. So I won't say too much as you'll find out more about the platform in the interview. But I just wanted to give you all a bit of an insight and I guess a bit of a disclaimer as well, because I'm working there, why I thought it would be a good idea to bring them in for an interview. So don't worry, it's not all about selling the platform. It is a genuine conversation about how we're utilizing technology and new emerging medias to bring a whole new shopping experience to the marketplace industry. And you're going to hear from the founder as to why he wanted to make a marketplace that specifically focused on storytelling and emerging designers. So it's a really interesting conversation and I hope you guys enjoy it. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm very, very excited today to be joined by the founder and two of the other teammates. So could we go around and just introduce yourselves, a bit about current work, and yeah, a bit of background.
Sure. Hi, I'm Mouhannad Al-Sayegh. My first job, I guess, was researcher at LCF, London College of Fashion, where I worked on tech projects. And my current role is running the digital lab. So working with students directly, and the lab allows students to access and experiment with a wide range of technologies. And outside of LCF, I've also worked with fashion tech startups like Change Your Paradigm, where we bring 3D simulation and a new medium for experiencing fashion, like augmented reality and virtual reality, to fashion brands.
Amazing. Despina, do you want to take the floor next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Despina, and I am coming from a background of architecture, where I started exploring towards the end combination of design with new technologies, and then going towards the fashion industry, going towards more experiences closer the human body. I ended up as a creative technologist working with a few creative events and advertising agencies, and also currently teaching at the MA virtual reality at London College of Communication.
And Leah, finally, do you want to let us know a bit about you?
Hey, yeah, so I'm Leah, and I am halfway through my final year at LCF, and I'm studying fashion design. So I think I, off a whim, signed up for a competition with Mouhannad at the DLL about 2 years ago, and have just been really excited and interested in, merging tech, especially with design, since then. But have also gotten to be part of this, which has been, merging tech with marketing and stuff, which has been really exciting.
Definitely. I think there's an amazing kind of diverse team. All of us are at different stages in our lives, and with kind of different backgrounds, which I think really helps us. We can all kind of apply ourselves to different areas. So I think a great way to start this off is to give a bit of a background on Flair's focus, aims, and kind of just letting everybody know what Flair is about. So Mouhannad, would you like to start on that one?
So Flair is an ecosystem that we are developing currently, and is to kind of allow designers and fashion graduates who are just starting out their brands to be able to showcase and sell the products online. It's something that we felt it was kind of difficult for new designers to be able to do, to be able to showcase themselves and show their concepts, and to be able to sell their products directly, or kind of have that emotional connection with the customer as well. So that's one side of the what we're developing, which is the marketplace. The other side is also creating a backend to be able to help designers connect with manufacturers, connect with marketing agencies, delivery services, etc. So kind of helping them with all aspects of running an e-commerce platform.
I think it's super interesting, you know, as a lecturer at LCF yourself, to be the kind of the founder of Flair. What was the driving force behind it? Like, was there any reason that you thought, okay, we need an e-commerce platform that is specifically for emerging designers, that provides this kind of like ecosystem of support? You know, what made you think, yes, we need this?
So the concept started a couple of years ago when I, working with students directly, kind of seeing how they work on their concepts, over a year on their final year projects, creating those beautiful concepts and very innovative ideas. And what I felt is that as soon as they graduate, it was very hard for them to be able to, set up an e-commerce platform, connect with customers, looking at marketing, setting up the business, setting up, dealing with taxation, dealing with payment processing and fraud. So there's a lot of areas that they're not familiar with. And I felt like really there was nothing, there's no marketplace for them to be able to, focus on those niche areas, kind of fashion, technology, and sustainability, to be able to showcase their concepts, connect with customers, etc. So that was something that I felt was missing. And then I started digging into what other areas they might need support with, so start looking at manufacturing, looking at prototyping, looking at, other services. So from that, we thought, an ecosystem really needs to be built where we be able to connect them with all aspects of running an e-commerce platform.
Amazing. I think for me, like the most attractive quality of working for Flair was definitely like how much attention there was to, supporting emerging designers and really giving them a chance to, build their brand and showcase it and earn some money for it. But for Despina, I really wanted to ask, I think it's great for the viewers to kind of understand a bit about your perspective. And as someone who is now an associate lecturer and had experience in their field, what's it like working for a startup business? And in terms of scaling your career, have you found that there's any benefits to working in a startup environment?
Well, I think I will start from the beginning of the story. So it was a cold winter night. I was still a student. Working late in the lab, of course, along with Mouhannad. And then while literally locking the school and leaving from the building, we were chatting and Mouhannad says, oh, wait, there's this idea I've been thinking about for a while. What do you think? What's your opinion on that? So that's how everything started. So I would say that having experience working on my own thing, having experience working on a startup, another startup, having experience from internship, from being jobless, from being in a big company as a freelancer. The word that describes really well the startup is indeed ecosystem. Mm-hmm. And how startup is usually born is by identifying a gap in the market and trying to having a need, you as a user, as a customer, having a need, identifying that need and finding an idea to respond to this. So usually that's how a startup idea gets born. So it's definitely, it was and it is the moment that fashion industry and fashion market has a gap of representing first emerging designers and recent graduates. Second, fashion storytelling, which is also in my area that I'm focusing more on emerging media and user experience, is something that is lacking from other fashion marketplaces. And that's also another part of Flair that is really strong. So these are the things that describe Flair, that are part of Flair, and that's how Flair came to life. But then this life has been extremely interesting since August 2020 that we started kind of putting the first pieces together. And that's another part of working on in a startup, is the fact that you own your product. You are full owner of your work, full owner of your ideas, and is an open-ended process. So even though a startup has a very specific focus and is really good for it to stay focused, however, is also very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to satisfy that focus, you identify other needs. So, for example, there were some things that in the process we were thinking initially to bring them to the floor later on our roadmap. However, we identified that these are core elements of what we are trying to do. So then we were very flexible, try to understand the designers, their needs, be very much not stuck in the idea, but progressing along with the idea and understanding it deeper and deeper. And that's the magic part of a startup. Along with the long hours, you have something that's like blooming very fast and it's blooming with you. So that's it, I think. I'm very excited about each and every day of Flair.
No, that's an amazing kind of explanation, and I love that part about, you know, flexibility. That's so true. There was so many key areas that I think were coming into development in the, you know, the third stage of Flair, that whilst we were, you know, recruiting designers and stuff, we were finding out that maybe there was stuff that they kind of needed now. And like you said, that flexibility to test the market, test the designers, see what they need, and kind of move that about is great. And I think that's what is going to create a really unique platform. A last question on this segment would be great to kind of understand from you guys the kind of tips that you would give someone that's looking to join a startup or someone that's looking to start their own business. And I guess Mouhannad, as the founder, we'll start with you. So what tips have you got?
So, so I think digital tools has becoming a very powerful thing where a designer can basically start a whole brand from their bedroom, which was always difficult. Not only start from their bedroom, but also can be an affordable thing to start, where you can do prototyping, be able to connect with manufacturing, you know, creating your tech packs, etc. Those tools can do a lot of things for you. So learning digital skills, learning those tools like Flow, Rhino for if you're doing jewelry or footwear, is going to be very helpful to kind of help you to create that prototypes and be able to showcase your work as well, because also the technology for visualization has improved quite a lot. You know, that's something that we're trying to do with Flair, is to be able to utilize augmented reality and virtual reality to be able to showcase your work. So going from Clo 3D, simulating your garment, do the final render and be able to bring it to Flair or to bring it to AR is something that you can do very, very easily. So be able to learn and express yourself digitally, I think, is going to be very, very powerful in the future. Fashion industry has always been unfair. You know, people work unpaid internship jobs after graduation. This is very, very common. So, you know, fashion, I think you've all have experienced this as well. It's always been unfair. And I'm not blaming the designer or the brand who hiring these graduates. It's just the system, how it's been built. So having the ability to be able to create your brand and be able to bring your concept to life using digital tools and hopefully in the very soon with Flair and other services to be able to bring, you know, your concept to life, will be democratizing fashion. You know, we'll be able to allow this you know, level where everyone could be able to, you know, bring something that the customer was looking for. So for me, I'm really excited that how we'll be able to democratize fashion and not just, you know, not just relying on the big brands, but also looking at how small designers could bring very innovative ideas to life with very little work.
Definitely, technology is kind of been a huge conversation during the pandemic. Also, I guess it was kind of necessary. There was so many people with collections, things that they wanted to showcase, that there was no physical space to do that in. And so a lot of people have upskilled and, you know, started using these tools and softwares to create their collections digitally, which I think is amazing. And like you said about kind of, you know, changing the fashion industry and kind of leveling out the playing field for emerging designers and big luxury brands, you know, by upskilling and by knowing, you know, how to use this software, you're actually going to then be wanted by a brand, because they're, you know, their ways are so traditional at the moment that it is kind of like the tech natives that are kind of like jumping on this digital trend. So Leah, as a perspective of a student, what tips would you have for somebody that's, you know, in the same position as you and looking to join a startup?
First of all, is there's a lot of grace for being in this spot of learning. And so Mouhannad's been great, and Despina, about like letting us all learn together, and it's okay if not one person has all the answers. And then we can also go find the answers. And I think also just being flexible with like wherever the need is on a specific day, like that might be what you have to do. So like I've started with recruiting designers, but then sometimes it's putting together a file or putting together yeah, kind of an instructional guide or doing something digital. So it just depends on the day, and just being up for that. And
Definitely.
Yeah,
being like adaptable and yeah, not afraid to kind of like apply yourself to anything. And like you said, like, you know, there is so much room for learning. None of us are, you know, qualified in every single part of, you know, an e-commerce platform. I never studied marketing. I never studied, you know, content creation, but it's something that I've learned, I guess, across the way. So as a bit of, I guess, a preview, should we kind of expand a bit on the usability and user experience of the website? There's a lot of cool areas that are very different to a lot of e-commerce platforms. So yeah, let's give everyone a bit of an insight.
I think one of the key thing I really want to bring forward is the storytelling, aspect of the e-commerce platform. And I always felt this was missing. If you look at traditional e-commerce, if you look at Shopify and you know, and any other kind of platform, you see, you know, everything is based on the same thing. You have images, you have text, you have buy button. There was not really anything for you to be able to learn about the designer, learn about the product, learn about, you know, see it from a different perspectives, etc. So that's something that I really wanted to change, and it fits perfectly to what I was thinking about the designer when they want to bring their concept. Is that storytelling aspect thing, which is really missing. So one of the key areas we wanted to kind of focus on is, you know, as well as utilizing the traditional media like images and videos, how we can bring 3D to web. You know, so most of the designers, like I said, they're very innovative. They some of them already using 3D as a tool for them to prototype. So we can bring those 3D models to the web, where people can be able to see it from every angle. They can also see it in augmented reality, so they can actually see the product in their living room, in their living space. So that is one of the areas that we're trying to kind of you know, bring innovation in storytelling. Also help designers who don't traditionally work with technology, so just using, you know, traditional methods of making a garment, where we're trying to help them utilizing things like photogrammetry scanning. So, you know, taking photos around the garment and be able to stitch it together to make it into a 3D file. So all those technologies will be able to kind of bring your garment into 3D and into a new way of visualization, where customers can experience it in a different way. So storytelling is going to be a big part, and that's kind of, this is what we're going to start with, and hopefully we can expand on it a bit more. We're very excited to work with Nemurian to bring virtual try-on as well for the consumer, so people can actually try the garment on their body types, etc. and you know, running simulations and running animation, etc. So there are quite a few interesting areas that we're going to try to bring, you know, over time. But I think AR is going to be something we're very excited about.
It's such a diverse platform for designers. There's a lot of like amazing opportunities for the designers to delve into, more than just listing their clothes on a platform to sell them. So I think, like we've mentioned, that's a really cool selling point. But Desmond, I wanted to kind of like ask you, I know that you're the one behind creating a lot of the AR, and I wanted to kind of understand a bit more your opinion on why you thought it'd be a good idea to bring this to the Flair platform.
Yes. So when we were talking about augmented reality, we're talking about a layer of reality becoming part of our everyday surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that can really create immersive experiences and can allow the user to overlay things in the reality, to see things that they don't exist in the physical space, but they do have 3D dimension, they do have materials, they do have textures and lighting around them. You have the opportunity with augmented reality to bring them to your actual space, to a very, very close simulation of the reality of those objects.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what is really, really revolutionary about augmented reality.
Mm-hmm.
So being behind the most of the augmented reality part of Flair, I think that that's a really really new and really promising area of fashion, because fashion is an intersection of design and art, is an actual experience close to the human body. And especially when you go on physical stores, the experience begins from your desire to go to the stores, from visiting the stores, from experiencing the textures, experiencing the light, putting the clothes on yourself, seeing the inspiration behind the designer. But all those elements are not visible in the most marketplace we have now in the fashion industry. And this is where augmented reality and the other digital tools we're using for storytelling can bring, can make the difference for us. Another thing about augmented reality is that we are right now changing the perception of users. That's something new for users. We are investigating the user journeys on a marketplace platform. And we are playing around on how to bring this into the journey of a customer to make it feel like natural, to make it go with the flow, to embed it into the shopping experience of a customer. So that's really exciting for us as well as a user experience journey.
Definitely, it's very interesting to see this kind of like new wave of marketing and promotion. I've seen 3D designers kind of using it to market themselves on Instagram, which has been really cool to see. I think a lot of brands will hop on that because it's like you were saying, a new kind of like user experience. It definitely brings something else to marketing and promotion, and I'm very excited for that to be embedded into Flair.